Okay, so what I'm going to do first is go over how we can create the QR code formative assessment that you can use day in and day out attached to a QR code. So I'm in my Google Drive and I'm going to go into, I've made a folder specifically for formative assessments. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the Create button and create a form. So you're going to want to name it something pretty easy, recognizable. If you've got a system similar to mine where it's set up as a Google Apps for Education account, you've always got to unclick that little button here. So I'm going to go to the title and I'm going to call it Formative Assessment. It could also be something like, you know, Daily Exit Slip or something. So we'll say like, fill this out when your teacher instructs at the end of the period or something, I don't know. Okay, so first step, some of the things that I always have to remember, I like having a column on my forms for last name, and I just need that to be text, and I want that to be a required question. I then always ask as well for their first name, also required. And then I usually do choose from a list or multiple, multiple choice question on this one, but I ask what class period I have them. And a little tidbit in case you didn't know, the shorter you make this, then the smaller your spreadsheet row 1 will be. So I always put small amounts, and then in the help text I give more information. So what class period are you in? And then I always put my actual ones because, you know, you never know with students. They always seem to put in a different one than they actually are, or a different option than what you've actually been given. Oops. And then I have a 6th period. And I do want to make that a required question. Okay, so basics here, right? And then it could be something as simple as, what did you learn today? I'm going to make that a paragraph text, and I'm going to make that a required question. And I'm going to say, thank you for your participation today. See you tomorrow. Okay, and then I want to go up to send form, and we're going to grab our URL here. There's a couple of different ways you could do that. And then I'm going to go into my Google Apps and Extensions, and I'm going to go to my QR code generator that I use all the time. And while I'm here, I'm going to go to URL. And I'm going to paste in the URL for mine. Now, the longer your URL, the more crazy your QR code can be. And what we've noticed at our school, when you're using QR codes, especially something that you're projecting onto the screen for the whole class to scan, if you can shorten the URL, then it gives you an easier piece to scan. So then you can go ahead and click Save, and call it your exit ticket or whatever, so that you can print that out or use that. But basically the idea, right, that the kids can scan this with their mobile devices, whether that's an iPad or a smartphone, and it will take them to the formative assessment that you're going to use daily. You can obviously change the theme, if you want to do like note paper or whatever, but what they'll do is they'll scan that QR code and it will take them to this simple formative assessment. So that could just be something that you could, like I said, my colleague at work has the QR code taped to the students' desks, and then whenever he wants to do a formative assessment, he'll just have them scan it, and then he can kind of adjust and fiddle with this particular question depending on if he wants to make it more specific for the day. But you're going to use this particular form because it's the one that's attached to your QR code, right? So you'll change the form, but you won't necessarily make a new one because then the QR code will have to be different, or you'll just have to make a new QR code for it. But it's pretty simple, pretty easy, and that's an easy way to change your exit tickets from paper to a digital format. The other one I wanted to talk about was Padlet. So if you can go to padlet.com, there's different ways for you to log in. I've made a Google, or I've logged in with mine with my Google account. Okay, so now that I'm logged in, all I have to do is just click Create a New Padlet. And basically what you're doing is you're creating a wall that you can give the students access to by giving them the URL. And basically all they do is add basically little post-it notes to the wall. But what we're going to do is we will modify this wall a little bit by changing, so we can call it like exit ticket, and you'll notice over here what I'm typing is showing up at the corner of the wall. So what did you, well, let's see, fill in a description based on what your teacher, for the day. I don't know. You can obviously change the background if you want to, or add a little piece to go with it. You can change the layout. You can work around the address or something. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, you can just click on, double click on, and you can do your name. So I'm going to say Mrs. Carter, and then you can write something. So you can say something like, what did you learn in class today? And then based on that, they can link from it or upload to it. But it basically creates just this tiny little piece. And then as you give the kids the URL for this, then they can pop on and give their own information. Obviously, you're going to have to monitor it, as all things with kids. Or maybe that's just me because I teach middle school. But you will have to monitor as the kids are popping things up. But this is a nice, easy way, interactive way for you to do a little exit ticket. So 2 different ideas. And hopefully something easy for you to do.